Good morning, Mets fans, and happy Monday. Welcome to Driving with Mr. Met. There is some white stuff on the ground here in Pennsylvania. Yes, it snowed over the weekend, and it was an interesting weekend in Metsville. Some big, huge news over the weekend broke Saturday morning, and that is, of course, that Sandy Alderson has made a comment about Asdrubal Cabrera zeroing in on third base. I kid, of course. The big news is that despite my pleas and despite my prayers to every god known to man, the New York Yankees traded with the Miami Marlins to acquire Giancarlo Stanton. And that leads the show today, and it's what we're going to spend a lot of time talking about. I'm actually lying. I don't actually have a whole lot to say about this trade. It's so fitting, though, that the Yankees really had no need whatsoever for Stanton. And I mean, that's not fair to say. I mean, everybody in their mother would love to have a guy like him on their team. But you know, if you really do a thorough roster evaluation, the Yankees really didn't need that profile of a player on their team. Contrast that to where the Mets stand right now, and you could make an argument they're on the complete polar opposite. The Mets would have killed to have a guy like this. But of course, Sandy Alderson made comments and jokes about, well, we've got Brandon Nimmo in right field. And then I think he made a serious comment about the size of the contract. Just didn't make sense for us to look at it. And look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. And Sandy takes the heat because he's the face. But look, let's be honest. If the Steinbrenners owned the Mets, this probably wouldn't be a conversation we're having right now. They probably would have said, Sandy, do what you got to do. Bring the big dog into Citi Field. We want him in right field. And that's it. And that's probably exactly what happens with Brian Cashman, who gets all the credit in the world for being a good general manager, and let's be fair, he is. But it takes two to tango, and you can only say so much. And if you don't have anything to back it up, good luck. And that's, I think, where Sandy is. I don't think his jokes are in good taste at the present, when I think Mets fans are stinging from this. But hey, it is what it is. Stanton's a Yankee. Hooray. Silver lining is that the Mets don't have to face him 18 times a year. So, I mean, I guess small victories. I don't know. On the trade front and the signing and free agent front, two of the relievers that the Mets were targeting, Brandon Morrow and Luke Gregerson, both signed 2-year deals over the weekend. Morrow with the Cubs and Gregerson with the Cardinals. So they are now off the books. No longer available options for the Mets. Greg Holland is still available. He's a name that's been thrown about. Of course, Brian Shaw as well. There is a rumor that the Mets have already offered Shaw a contract. I don't know that I've seen that confirmed anywhere, but that was the rumor that I had read. So, again, Greg Holland is available. Wade Davis is still available. But those names are going to fall soon. And I would love for the Mets to be in on them. I just don't have any faith that they will be. Speaking of the Mets, it isn't all bad news. Actually, it is. Over the weekend, actually yesterday, I think it was last night, news came out that Sandy Alderson confirms what I think we all believed anyway, that Michael Conforto would not be ready for opening day. That should not come as a surprise to anybody. I think if anyone expected him to be ready for opening day, they were really stretching. So, I mean, that's kind of bad news because Conforto's a great guy, and he's sort of like new face of the franchise kind of guy, and he's someone to get excited about. But he's not going to be there for opening day. And I think what that really does ultimately is it clears the path for the Mets to go out and sign one of these first base / outfield guys like Jay Bruce, Logan Morrison, Adam Lind, like we were talking about last week. I still want Bruce. That'd be my first choice, but I'm sure that the Mets won't get any of those three because they'll all be too high priced for them. The other interesting tidbit that I'd read over the weekend was that the Mets are not opposed to trading Harvey if it means improving the bullpen. And 3 letters come to mind when I hear about this. WTF. That's right. What are the Mets thinking? I hope this is just a stupid rumor started by a terrible reporter. But this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. The guy has no value at all. He's coming off one of the worst seasons that a starting pitcher has ever had. And you're going to trade him for nothing? I mean, for what? The potential upside that he might be good? Well, what team is going to give up anything of value for that? Particularly that he's going into his walk year. This is his last year before he gets his big free agent contract. He'll be a free agent after 2018. The Mets know that. Every other team knows that. Why the hell would you even talk about the idea of trading this guy? Nothing you get in return will trump what he could be as a starting pitcher. Period. There's no getting around it, because no one's going to trade anything of major value for him. And so this weekend was a complete shit show for the Mets. I shouldn't be surprised, but I am. You know, I think it's time for the Mets to make a splash. If they're serious about contending in 2018, they cannot sit idly by and just sort of pick up scraps right now. They have to make a splash. One of the things I'd read about on Twitter was throwing a trade out there for Manny Machado. Dude, I would do it at this point. Do it. Do it, do it, do it. Trade what you got to trade. Trade Steven Matz. Who cares? Trade him. Make a splash. Do something. Show us as fans that the Mets are not sitting and contently waiting for things to just sort of fall into their laps. You cannot win in baseball in 2017 and in 2018 unless you're willing to get creative. And the Mets haven't shown a willingness to do that in a long time, and it's time that stops. So here's to hoping that the next time we talk, maybe I'll read a rumor that there was actually a discussion about a trade for a big chip. More realistically, we'll probably hear about how Logan Morrison wants too much money and is not worth signing for the Mets. So starting out the week right, starting out the week on a downer, and that is what it is as a Mets fan. But hey, we are Mets fans, and we know how it feels. So I thank you for watching. As always, if you're not already following me on Twitter, do so at Mr_Met. That's MISTER_MET. And as always, let's go Mets.